Alright guys, welcome to the RabidMining YouTube channel. Today I hopefully answer a bunch of your guys' questions regarding powering my CPU mining rig. So we're going to go through how I am powering all these rigs here. I will have links to what I can in the description below. Also a build list and everything I do have on my website, RabidMining.com, as well as the CPU mining calculator is there. More coins should be added fairly soon. So be sure to check out those resources as well. Now, ultimately, the best way and safest to power any of your rigs would be to do it the way you would build it for gaming. One single ATX power supply per rig. That is the best way. Now, we are miners and we like to experiment. We like to cut down on cost, less cost, better ROI, things like this. And if you do it wrong, you could, start a fire or something. So don't do it wrong. But I'm going to run through what I'm doing here. So these ones here, they're just running off standard ATX. I do got a standard ATX to each one of these. These ones here are running off one power supply. So there's two rigs right here running off a single ATX power supply through a 24-pin splitter. We will look at the temperature of that soon, as well as a PCI Express splitter right here. We'll get a deep dive into that. We're just doing a quick rundown on how these are looking at the moment. These 6 rigs down here are the same thing as what we saw up there. So each one of these, or each two, so this bag here, this is a single ATX, single ATX, single ATX, all running the same way we just saw the other rig. And these 5 rigs are actually running off this 1200 watt server power supply through these Picos right here. So I got these Picos here. I just threw this on. I got to put this little shroud on all of them. You can see the other ones don't have it on yet, but I will put this little guard on. That way the pins aren't touching anything down below. Nothing could spark on it, get into some type of mishaps. But as for the power cables, these are 320 watt Picos or something. They're coming into all these. They run the motherboard, your hard drive, your CPU power. They got all the connections for it, but they come out as barrel plugs, which we see right here. Now I do have to swap these out. You do have to use, actually don't even really use these, but you can get different variants of them. It requires the certain size to the certain power amperage. And these ones are, I believe, 2.5 to 5 millimeter. You can get them on Parallel Miner, but they're the wrong ones. A lot of people got them and melted them very fast. So you have to get the right size. I believe the 2.1s to 5 millimeter, they do not support the power needed. Now I do want to switch these out because they all have been working just fine for me. But these Anderson plugs, which I started swapping to, these do work better. So I just cut the ends off. It's the exact same thing right here. But I chopped the Pico end off right here, the barrel plug, and then I spliced into these plugs here. Now these are rated for 30 amps. So remember, we got 12 volts coming in off each rail coming into the power here. So that means, this thing won't focus. Let's bring it closer. There we go. So that means 30 times 12, so we're like 360 watts or something is what we're rated for here. That's the max. You always run 80%, but that is way above what we run on these CPUs. And these plugs have been 100% fine. Nothing's melting. These ones are slowly starting to get stuck together from melting internally, but they've still been all right. But they are a hazard starting to happen. So I got to swap them out, but these ones do seem just fine so far. But I do like the way this is actually working with the motherboard splitters here. I'm pretty sure somebody is going to ask me about this shroud, so I'm going to run through it right quick here. I got these sent to me from GadCAD. So he actually sent me a whole bunch of this different 3D printed type of stuff here. We can see this is for these Pico switches. He custom made those for me. I believe these ones are for risers, but he sent a whole bunch of various things here. And I'll tell you why we're talking about these in a minute. One, he sent them to me and I haven't yet tried them all yet, but we got motherboard standoffs here. He has something here for actually floating. So we got GPU hangers here. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen GPU hangers. We got hangers that could actually hang motherboards as well for CPU miners. So that's kind of sweet. We got some fan clips and we got all sorts. Here's the Pico ones, all sorts of stuff that he sent me. But I got to talk to him about something. Lots of you guys keep asking me about these motherboard standoffs. Now these ones I just found on Thingsverse and they work just fine. But these ones I did have custom made for me. So you can see here they got the little holders here. These are all running M2 slots. Let me just find one that I actually have. I believe these ones right here. They also got the holders for your SSD. If you decide to use an SSD, it screws right in the side. So those were custom made for me, and I don't have the capability to mass produce. I'm going to talk to the person who actually made these for me, and that way maybe we could get who I was just talking about there, the 3D print mass production. Maybe we can get some type of deal going on. We can get these out to you guys because he does 3D printing stuff. So we'll see what happens there. So that's why I showcased his stuff earlier, and then I want to talk to him about these because you guys have been asking me about all these stands. All right, so back to the power situation. You can see here I got only one 24 pin coming out of this ATX PSU, as well as a single PCI Express plug. So looking at the pins and everything out of these, can you kind of see that there? So the pinning layouts are pretty much the same on these CPU plugs as a PCI Express. So because I have it coming in through the CPU cable here into the PCI Express, it's relaying the same power through the same pin. So in theory, it seems to be working just fine as acting as a splitter on these PCI Express splitters between the CPU power on both motherboards. No issues, no voltage increases, peaks, drops, or anything at this point, so everything seems fine. Obviously, as soon as something blows up and melts on me, I'll let you guys know, but when I purchased these from the previous guy, he was running this for a very long time as well on this exact same setup. That's actually how I found out about this, is the way he was doing it. So I decided to do the same thing, and it, you know, it definitely helps for only one power supply. Make sure you have the right size. Now remember, you can use anywhere from 85 to about 110 watts if you're running efficiently. If you're peaking these things out, like say you're mining XMR for an example, you could be upwards of 200 watts per board. So you are going to want to make sure to have a power supply big enough to support both of those. Now pulling that kind of voltage and watts, this may not be suitable, but I do run everything as efficient as I possibly can. So it's kind of hard to get the light in here for you guys, but as you can see, that is the 24 pin coming in off the power supply, and then it goes to this 24 pin splitter, which does provide full power to both 24 pins. This does work in theory because there are PC cases out there to utilize two rigs, like those PC gaming stream type of all made in one cases, I guess you could say. I don't know what exactly they're called, but those double CPU cases, they're ran through running a 24 splitter. It's just built inside the case itself. As for the breakout boards on running my CPUs off this 1200 watt power supply, I do have this custom, this is part of the parallel miner breakout board for like your Christmas and Halloween kits and stuff. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but I will have that link for you guys down below. But this is what I'm running here, and you can see there's a positive side as well as a negative side on this, and this will run these 14 gauge cables that I got going on here. Okay, so now we're gonna have a quick look at the thermals of all these cables we're using to see if they're heating up or not. And for this, I do have this little SICK thermal camera that goes right into your cell phone. You know, it's like $200 or something, much cheaper than something you would find for $1,000 to $4,000. Nice little compact thing. I did have to get this little USB-C attachment because my last phone blew up on me, and it was a USB-C, so I upgraded, and now it does work 100% fine. So we're all good. So this is a nice little SICK thermal camera. All right, so here is that thermal camera, and you can see right there that dark blue plugging into the motherboard. That is these 24 pins. There's like no heat coming off of them. We can see the rest of the motherboard is looking pretty warm. Let's just kind of get to the CPU cooler here. There we go. We can see the CPU cooler there, center where the bearings and everything is warm. There's our heat sinks. It's kind of come down into where our, down there we can't even see. See where the CPU power is down there? We can see the cord kind of coming up to the top. That is blue as well. We're a little warm green right at the pins, but the cable itself and everything is good. It is supporting the power. Now the pin ends is obviously where all your weak spots usually is. The power to the pins is usually where you'll see something melt. We're green, we're still not too hot, but those cables are pretty much doing very good. So let's just kind of come back up here. We can see our VRAMs and everything are a little bit warm. All right, I just want to show you guys something here. So we have the OCTOMINERs and stuff, and all this stuff is pretty much blowing towards this back wall. Let's bring up the thermal camera and just see what this little hallway kind of looks like. So yeah, look at this. We can see there's the back of the OCTOMINER where all the heat's coming in, our plugs going into the PSUs there, and here's the wall. Look at that wall. It is warm, and then down to the end it's cool, but we can see what our wind tunnel kind of looks like. How about the roof here? See the hot spots at the roof. It's fairly cool in some places. That's not too bad. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, the light's on over there. Window's cool. That's where the cool air and stuff is coming in. What is that? Oh, that's my light. So that's my light I got going on over there. Then you can see the exhaust fan is over here. It's kind of sucking all the hot air out and blowing it out the window. But yeah, these thermal cameras are pretty sweet. They're very helpful for anything. Even if you're looking for something on your house in terms of, you know, heat escaping or something in the winter, very, very useful little tool. So it's kind of hard to get these, I'll show you right here, these cables here into the thermal ordealio because of those KD boxes and stuff right there. But we can see right there, those two connectors, that is our barrel plugs, and they're pretty warm right at the ends. As for the cables themselves, they're looking fairly cool, but those barrel plugs right there, where are they? Those two right there, they are looking, you know, getting warm. So obviously that's not a good thing. Let's see if we can kind of get beside it. How are those Anderson plugs doing? Can't really see. That might be them right there, but they're obviously a lot cooler. So the barrel plugs are definitely getting warm, guys. So there we go, guys. Hopefully that did answer pretty much all the questions you had on regarding my CPU mining rigs and how they are currently being powered. Any more questions, be sure to join the Discord. Ask in the comment section below. I will see you on the next one. Rabid out.